Hello, everybody, and welcome to the LFC Transfer Room with myself, Louis, joined today by James, Drew, and Anthony. It's another one of them. This is just a daily news show, pretty much. You know, we're still waiting for pre-season to really get going, although we do know who won the lactate test, so I suppose that could be the first topic of discussion. But
Do we?
thank you very
Milner,
much
I assume?
Yes, it was. You guessed right. Thank you to everybody who is joining and or joined. Please do like the video if you have not done so, and please subscribe to the channel as well. It massively helps out. James, how are you doing this evening?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm still reeling from last night's stream where I found out Ben Davies was on 60 grand a week. It's still bugging me. I mean, I used to think reserve goalkeeper was the best job in the world because obviously you didn't have to do anything. If you ever had to play, you come on at a penalty situation. If you didn't save the penalty, it's fine. If you saved it, you're a hero and you get paid for it. Now I think Ben Davies has the best job in the world because he doesn't even have to be in the match squad and he gets paid $3 million a year. But apart from being really annoyed about that still, I'm fine.
Good. I'm glad you're in the process of processing that news. Drew, how are you doing?
I'm doing okay. Mother and brother coming into town, so playing host for the week and just hoping this coffee kicks in soon.
And Anthony, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. Been waiting for this day for the past few years. Neco Williams has finally left Liverpool.
That sounds a bit harsh, Anthony, but we'll get into that. We'll get into that at some point.
Hey, Ben Davies ends quadruple Neco Williams' wage.
Thank you to everybody who's joining. Jen, Iddy, Rods and Nick, Evercolour, thank you very much for joining. Yeah, of course, pre-season back underway for a few days now. We're only 5 days away from the opening game of the season, the opening game of the pre-season against Man United over in Thailand, which of course we'll have a live watch along for that. I mean, it's the very first game of the season, isn't it, James? So, you know, we're not expecting it. Not even the result really matters.
Oh
does
no,
it?
I'm expecting an utter humiliation
spectacle.
of United.
Really?
It has to be utter humiliation because look at them. Look at what's going on at United. They're celebrating the Dutch Wan-Bissaka, you know, as the greatest left back signing of all time. Ronaldo's staying at home for family reasons. You know, this is the perfect start, isn't it, for this new inspirational, you know, which is probably, and I don't mean this against Rafa Benitez, but he's the Dutch Rafa Benitez. They couldn't attract a world-class manager, so they've got someone who's won a league and gone, oh, he's gonna solve us. A bit like when Liverpool did. We went to Valencia and went, yep, we'll have you. Oh, we should utterly humiliate them, even with everyone being knackered.
Well, I'm sure we'll have plenty of build up closer to the time. But on pre-season, of course, the big spectacle that it is, the lactate test when they come back, Drew. And James Milner's only gone and done it again. This is the 6th year in a row he's won it. So we know he's going to have a cracking season, don't we? And be a massive part of this team.
He's been holding on to that trophy. I swear he's in cahoots with the medical staff or something because I guarantee he lauds that over all the other players. But yeah, I'm happy he signed on for an extra year. And, you know, he's always a great presence in the squad and the dressing room, someone that the players can look up to and hope to, you know, reach the heights that he has in his career. But yeah, happy to see him play and, you know, looking forward to him probably getting a penalty goal against United.
I mean, Anthony, the day that he fails to win is the day he has nothing left to offer this team, isn't it?
Mate, it's the only bit of news you hear from James Milner all year. He wins a lactate test and disappears for a whole season. Like, just get him gone. I know he's already signed the contract, but after the season's up, man, just get him gone. I've had enough of hearing this. Oh, he wins a lactate test. But where's this throughout the season? It's okay running for God knows how long, but yeah, it's nice obviously having him in the dressing room like Drew said, but in terms of footballing ability, there's not much from him.
I mean, Anthony's on a bit of a rampage. He wants everybody gone at the moment. Well, let's start with that. Let's start with the news pretty much confirming that Neco Williams is on the way out. I think I think it's been spoken about on streams for the last couple of days, and I've been looking at some of the comments that we've had, and people are calling some people delusional for wanting 20 million. He's nowhere near as good as Jed Spence, which I don't think anyone said. I don't know. I wasn't on those streams, but we've got apparently about 17 million, all fees included. James, I mean, I think that's pretty good for someone who's barely mustered 30 appearances in the Premier League.
Yeah, I think Neco Williams has generated that transfer fee by his performances for Fulham in the second half of the season. I think he was worth about 10, and I think the way that he took over that right back spot at Fulham really sort of upped his fee to an extra 7 million for us. So. And we got a loan fee for it. So another great bit of business from Liverpool, loan out a player, up his value massively because he has a good 6 months. And now we'll see if he's a Premier League quality player, because he's got the attributes, he's got the football intelligence, but has he got the mentality to do it every single week in a relegation fight? And that's what we're about to find out.
Exactly, Joe. I mean, that's going to be the big difference from those last 6 months, playing in a team that was always too good for the Championship. A lot of people thought that that's where he'd stay and he'd re-sign for Fulham permanently, but instead he's gone to Nottingham Forest, and I expect them to both be in similar positions towards the end of the season anyway. But was there much surprise with the club that he's ended up going to?
No, I think that's probably right for his ability. I don't think, as James says, he was great in the Championship, but he hasn't proved it in the Premier League. I'm not impressed with his performances for Wales. I think he's shown up against some average, international sides, but I think it was the Euros he got absolutely lit up at left back. And, I think back to when Aubameyang just, tore him a new one in the Community Shield a couple years ago. I'm impressed with his ability to bounce back from that. It looked like he was absolutely crushed after Aubameyang, just blew by him for the goal in that match. But he's built himself back up. But I think his ability is probably Championship at best. And Nottingham Forest is a good challenge to see if he can step up. He's got potential, but he might just be one of those career Championship players.
Jen, thank you very much for the super sticker. Appreciated as always. Please do like this video, do subscribe to the channel, and if you would like to support us further, you can also become a member, get access to exclusive badges and stickers for the live chat. You can press the join button, or there is a link in the video description. I mean, Anthony, I feel like we've always, in some respects, felt a little bit sorry for Neco Williams in the fact that he's come into this Liverpool first team stuck behind one of the generational talents of this era, Trent Alexander-Arnold. But from the sound of things, I don't know whether you were being sarcastic or not, but it sounds like you're glad to see the back of him.
I am happy to see him go, not because he's rubbish, but I just think he's not good enough backup quality. Maybe Calvin Ramsey could probably show that, but whenever in the cup matches, I'm just not impressed by him. I think his attacking play is somewhat good, but when it comes to defending, he's useless. I know people say the same with Trent, but it's just nonsense, really. But yeah, I think Nottingham's probably a good place for him to go. Obviously, they're not going to sign Spence. Probably did think he was going to end up at Fulham, obviously having played in the Championship with him. But I think that's probably his level. He's not good enough to compete for the Premier League or even sort of threaten Trent off his right back spot. Even in the next few years, obviously he's still young. So yeah, I think it's a good move for him, and 17 million is a good price tag to sell him for.
I mean, James, do you feel like that backup right spot? I mean, maybe Calvin Ramsey will prove this wrong, but has it kind of been a bit of a poison chalice? Like, what can you really show behind someone as good as Trent in that position, who's made it his own, almost redefined it?
Kostas Tsimikas. That's the answer, isn't it? There's no one that could be back up to Robertson. Kostas comes in. Suddenly, you've got a squad player who, when he comes on the pitch, the levels don't drop. Some unpopular opinions. Some people think that Kostas should be number one. I'm still Robertson should be number one, but that's what Neco needed to do. He needed to provide that level of consistency, that level of performance where people thought, you know what? When Trent don't play, I'm all right because Liverpool will still be good because Neco Williams plays. Not that they expect him to be Trent, but they expect him to be competent backup, and it doesn't look like we've lost a step. And that's what Kostas has done. And so that's what we should expect from a reserve right back.
I mean, Drew, it felt like this was maybe a long time coming. Obviously, he got that loan move, but Klopp was more than happy for Gomez to fill in at right back, mainly to give him some minutes on the pitch as well. But he obviously felt, especially in some relatively big games, that Gomez could actually provide more in that position.
Yeah, I think, Gomez has proved it before. Yeah, he's been in the squad for the Champions League side, for the Premier League side, and he's, aside from injuries, he'd probably be our starting center back next to Virgil van Dijk. So I think it's kind of no question that he'd fill in for right back when Trent wasn't there if he was fit. And he started off at left back under Rodgers, and he played right back before. So he's got the quality, he's got the experience, and he's got the speed to catch up if he needs to. So I think it was really a no-brainer. Whereas Neco Williams, he really showed he had a bunch of blunders in his game. He rarely had a game where he impressed, and usually it was a League Cup game against a League One side. So I think it's a no-brainer that Joe Gomez was in. I think he said it best too, where he was in to get more minutes in his legs, because as the contract shows, he's in Klopp's long-term future.
I mean, to kind of wrap up this topic on Neco Williams, Anthony, how do you? We won't know until we see it, but how do you predict his career at Forest going? Do you see him being quite solid for them, proving some doubters wrong, or do you see him becoming a Brandon Williams, who obviously went on loan, spent the season on loan at Norwich, and any positive views that people had on him kind of dissipated when they realised he actually wasn't that good?
I don't think he's as bad as Brandon Williams. I don't think Williams has ever been good, to be honest. Not Neco, but Brandon Williams. I don't think he's ever been good. But I think Neco, he's definitely showed his quality for Liverpool, like on the odd occasion. It's just consistency. I think when, like Drew pointed out, when he played against the big matches, like in the Community Shield, he just looked out for his depth, and maybe at a lesser team he can probably find that sort of consistency and perform to a top level. And I hope he does prove me wrong. I hope all sort of Liverpool players or former Liverpool players prove me wrong. But I don't think we're going to regret the transfer by any means. We've got Trent there for the next 10 or 15 odd years. So, yeah, we won't miss him one bit.
Absolutely. Thank you to everybody who's getting involved in the live chat. Again, please do like the video. Please do subscribe and all that good stuff. Philip says, I find it tough to decide who should be the first choice between Kostas and Robertson. I've seen a couple of people commenting on that in the live chat. So keep that going. Get the discussion moving along in the live chat. Who do you see? Is it quite tight? Is Robertson a clear favourite? Or do you think Tsimikas maybe could surprise people and snatch that position away this season? Who knows? Let us know your thoughts. Let's transition quite smoothly with the talk of right backs onto someone who played there quite often for us last season. Joe Gomez, James. We've talked about it for a while. It's become pretty evident he was going to get a contract. Today, it's official. He signed on for another 5 years. How do you feel about that?
I'm over the moon about it. I can't like the number of times me and you have been arguing with other members. I'm not Drew or Anthony, maybe Anthony actually, probably, about Joe Gomez, as well as the chat saying, no, get rid, sell him, make money, get it back. Suddenly he signed a contract. Everyone's like, oh yeah, we always wanted to keep him, really rate him, think he's the future. It's just the nature of football. But 5 years, 3.9 million a year, 75 grand a week, 15 grand more a week than Ben Davies. And I definitely think he's, worth 15 grand.
That's more all anything's going to be compared to from now on, isn't it?
Definitely think he's worth more than that. Long term, the centre backs could quite comfortably be Ibu and Gomez. If Gomez can have a good 2-year run of no major injuries and he can get his body running at prime, and Ibu stays fit, that could be the long-term solution, you know, with Trent and with Costas and Robertson. So it's really positive news that a player like Gomez, who could go to Villa and fight to get in the England squad, you know, for 6 months and stuff like that, because he'd be playing every week, has gone, do you know what? I want to be here. This is where I want to be. I want to play for Klopp. I want to play for this club. It's a very big statement to make. It's sort of saying Liverpool first, England second, and that's what Liverpool fans want to hear.
Yeah, Drew, I mean, I think that ties in perfectly to what I was going to ask you. It's a massive statement from Gomez that, you know, he is very happy where he is, and given the circumstances of last season, he's still up for a real fight to earn a spot. But it's a massive statement from the club as well. We could have let this go on for another year and see how he does. But, you know, Klopp has decided he absolutely wants him to be a part of this team's future in the long run.
Yeah, 100%. I think the club has done a really good job, and it looks like we're going to have a few more contracts signed by the end of the window. But it looks like we're trying to shore up these contracts to make sure we're not left in the same situation we were at the beginning of the summer. But the intention from the club and from Gomez is amazing to see. For me, I remember when we had the injury crisis during COVID. Gomez was the one partnering Van Dijk, and we were all looking to Gomez to lead the back line, and pretty okay with that. I didn't see anyone. I remember the first couple games, Gomez did fine. And, you know, when he came out, it was like, oh God, are we going to rely on Matip, who picks up a knock every other week? Matip surprised us all last season, but, you know, Gomez was our second choice alongside Van Dijk for a few years. And I think for him as well as the club, that kind of shows where Klopp and his talent is regarded. It's not a question of his ability or his talent or his experience. It's just him being fit enough, and other players have taken his spot while he's out. I think that will sit on him, saying that it's not because of his ability or his experience. It's just because he had a run of bad luck. So I think he's got, you know, something to prove, and he knows he deserves to be there, and the club see that as well. So it's really nice to see all parties on the same page for that one.
Absolutely. I mean, Anthony, I seem to remember me and you at some point last season during a watch along having to really stick up for Gomez against some people in the live chat who shall remain nameless. But if you know, you know. What are your thoughts on this? Because I think you're quite happy that he's re-signed.
Yeah. I'll name him. It is Boljak. Mate, you know what? I never get sort of annoyed at other people's opinions, because at the end of the day, it's an opinion. But stuff about Gomez, like, sell him, it's just nonsense. He's proved it so many times that he's like a top quality centre back. And look at the 18-19 season. We finished on 97 points, and then the season after we finished on 99 points. There's a second and third highest points tally in Premier League history, and people saying he's not good enough to start for us. It is ridiculous. And you hear figures like 35 mil. I'd take 35 mil from it. It's nonsense, man. Gomez and Konate are going to be unbelievable in the future. I think Gomez I think he has the highest win percentage with Van Dijk whenever those two have started together. So he's obviously got more than enough quality to start for Liverpool, and that's a big statement. No, this is one of the best teams in Premier League history, and it's not a fluke that Gomez is there. I know everyone, you could say, you could shove Lovren next to Van Dijk, you could shove Ragnar Klavan next to him, and it'll make him look world class. But that's not the case for Gomez. He's fast. He's got brilliant ability on the ball. I'd argue his ball playing ability is better than Van Dijk. Like, he can dribble, he could do everything with it, and that's because he's versatile. He can play left back, right back. He could do everything. So yeah, I love Gomez. I'm glad he signed a new contract.
I mean, I seem to remember in that title-winning season, it was when Lovren came in. That was when we lost to Watford, or am I? Because I feel like he tried to basically get into a fight with Troy Deeney rather than actually mark him, and that, you know, gave them a bit of a leg up in that game. So yeah, absolutely. I mean, I hope Boljak doesn't watch this, because I'm basically about to go in on him. But a lot of his points, and I feel like everybody else who didn't or doesn't like Joe Gomez, we're quite blinded by his injuries and the form that he would at times show when he was just thrown into a one-off game, having not played for a few weeks on end. But Anissa quite rightly points out, and as did Anthony, it's the partnership that won us the Premier League. And a lot of people just throw it out and say, oh, he was carried. He was crap. He didn't contribute at all. James, is it really realistic to be a centre-back in a title-winning team and be carried to be the one useless player? I don't buy it.
Well, if you take the public belief, Trent can't defend and Gomez is useless, that pretty much means half of the pitch we're just not there, which is utterly ridiculous, isn't it? It just proves it's utterly ridiculous. Gomez is one of the fastest defenders in world football. He's rapid, and I don't know if he's lost a bit of pace with his injury and everything like that. Hopefully that's why they've been taking the time to get him back and to stretch out sort of his patella muscles and everything like that, so that he's got that pace. But with our high line, he is the sort of player that can solve problems when people try and play him behind us. He is so fast, and Ibu's fast as well. Van Dijk's fast, yeah. But Gomez is, I remember seeing a video where Mane and Salah were saying that Gomez is the third behind them. That's how fast he was. And he's big, he's powerful. It's just a no-brainer for a team that play on the halfway line.
Absolutely. I mean, considering his injury record, Drew, I feel like this is, again, one of those times where we kind of have to step back and put our own opinions on this aside and trust that the medical team have said that, do you know what, we feel like we can keep him fit. We feel like the worst is behind him, or they were just complete freak injuries. And based on what they've done with Matip and Keita and Gomez for most of last season, he didn't play much, but he wasn't injured for a lot of it. They obviously feel like they can keep him in a suitable position where he can go on and build on last season and work his way back into a first team position potentially.
Yeah, 100%. I think on yesterday's stream they were talking about Gomez's injuries being more freak injuries than a reoccurring like hamstring or calf problem or anything like that. And what the medical staff has done with Matip has been amazing. I know other players have had a lot of injuries, as you said, Keita, but that seems to be the case where he's injury prone versus where Gomez just looks like he's had some very bad luck with some harsh injuries. I was thinking last season, I was like, I don't remember him being out through injury, last season so he's just, behind Matip, Van Dijk, and Konate, who came in brilliantly. I think that was a big surprise for us all. To see Konate step up and slot himself and just basically remove Gomez from getting a chance to secure his spot back. But, I wouldn't put the injuries on the forefront of my mind, considering Gomez's future. Medical staff hasn't, Klopp hasn't, the club hasn't, and he's happy to be here. And it's, as was it James said, 20,000 more than Ben Davies. Was it 25,000 more than Ben?
15,000 more than Ben Davies.
I'm overshooting. I think for a quality player like Joe Gomez, as you said, Louis, it's a no-brainer.
I mean, Hyler's always keen to mention this doctor's name, which I love saying anyway. But he says, I said earlier this year, I'll say it again. Look at last season as year one after Dr. Schlumberg took charge and made Liverpool a new club regarding injuries. Forget all seasons before that. Do you agree with that sentiment, Anthony, that, it's a fresh start for the likes? Well, I think it certainly is for Matip. I think for me, it is for Keita, but a lot of people aren't happy with him at this point in time. And for Gomez, I feel like it should be as well.
100%. Mate, I've been seeing too much Naby Keita slander the past few streams, man. I'm glad I'm here to support him now. But I think ever since whoever that doctor was, I'm not going to try to pronounce his name, but
Schlumberger.
What was it? Sorry.
Dr.
Schlumberger. Ever since he's come in, we completed for a quadruple last season. We reached the Champions League final, got 92 points. So if we can keep Gomez fit, and obviously we've added quality onto that squad, Carvalho, we got Darwin Núñez and Ramsey, then can't see why we can't compete again for the top trophies in football. But it's obviously sick. Obviously Matip he's always either injured for half season or think, was it 1920? He was injured for most of the season. He started like 6 or 7 games.
Yeah.
I might be wrong there, but Gomez is the same. He's always got long-term injuries, but since that person's come in, Matip didn't get injured once last season, and Kate was only injured for a month of football, and that's because of what Pogba did to him. So it's great, obviously, having these people in to prevent the long-term injuries from happening, and quite clearly, it's improving the squad.
Sorry, I just wanted to bring up this comment quickly because I have seen that picture, Ben Davis walking around Kirkby with an inhaler in his hand, which is quite bizarre.
I would point out he's obviously not a player because he doesn't play. Therefore, he's probably just delivering it to a different asthmatic.
I want to bring this up quickly because I feel like it's a really good point. Gary says with the 5 sub rule, Joe Gomez will see a lot more game time, and I feel like this has been important in maybe a few players. I'm not saying Gomez was thinking of leaving, but some players changing their minds. I mean, Oxlade-Chamberlain, it looks like he's sticking around. There's not much about interested.
I'm not sure about that one.
He seems a bit happier in the preseason videos and pictures. He seems a little bit more cheery. I don't know. With 5 subs, there's just so much more that we can do in Premier League games, which is obviously the majority of our fixtures. Well, let's ignore Oxlade-Chamberlain, James. But for someone like Joe Gomez, you know, the normal substitutes for Klopp is probably James Bloody Milner coming on with 20 minutes to go. Swapping out one of the attackers, but now there's a bit more flexibility, and you know, Gomez, I don't expect him to be starting from the start of the season, but this is an easier way for him to get those minutes and start to push someone for a place. I don't know.
Yeah, definitely. He's gonna. This is the thing, because of how Liverpool track everybody, they're gonna know at what points they start to feel stress. With 5 subs, you can make defensive decisions, and by defensive I mean defensive on the health of players. So you could take Van Dijk off with 30 minutes though, just to protect him, because you know, as we've all walked down the street and just twisted something and it just felt a bit sharp. It's nothing serious, but let's just take him off. Let's just give him a break. Just to pick up on the Ox thing, when I watched his interview and he's talked a lot about Liverpool players as they and not us. So when you listen to Joe Gomez's interview, it's all about us and we and how. Ox was a bit more they, them, Salah and stuff like that. So I don't know if he is going. I think he is based on his language, but that might just be he doesn't have a very strong repertoire of language. It didn't sound inclusive. So my gut is that Ox is leaving. But 5 is very good for Gomez because just you switch out one of the centre-backs.
Yeah, I mean, maybe Oxlade knows something we don't. Maybe Bellingham is on the way, and that's his place in the team gone.
No, that doesn't mean Bellingham's coming in just because I think Ox is leaving. It's not like replacement.
I know, but I feel like if we don't sign a midfielder, we're not going to let one go.
I'm not doing this 2 days in a row, having this whole Bellingham's coming conversation.
Well, the difference is I wasn't in on that conversation, so it doesn't count. That's great. Right. Let's move on briefly to Asensio. It's one of those that's up and down. It's never felt like it's carried any real momentum, Drew. Like it's really like we're going in for him, all guns blazing. There was a story yesterday saying that AC Milan have called their interest in him. We're one of now the main contenders. Real Madrid even willing to lower their asking price to 25 million. I mean, let's just start there. 25 million pounds for Asensio, most likely a backup for Salah, can potentially play as a number 8, but not really been shown to be his strong point. Is that a deal you'd look to take?
I mean, 25 million, I think you could probably get rid of Ox at that point. If you did choose to play him in the midfield and back up to Salah, I think that'd be an interesting place to see if he could fit in the team. And for that kind of money, I'd take the punt on him. It did seem a bit weird, all these rumors, because it seems like, correct me if I'm wrong, but most of the players we get linked to and actually buy, it like comes out of nowhere, or there's a very short build up and then we get them. It's not like, you know, months or weeks of long waiting and seeing if it happens. It tends to be Liverpool do the business quickly. So that's why this Asensio rumors have, kind of caught me off guard. I'm kind of like, are we in for him? Are we not? Like, there's all these rumors floating around. I know a lot have been saying about clubs just trying to link other top clubs with their players to get a bit of interest around them. So maybe that's the case. But at 25 million, I'd certainly take the punt.
That's one side to it. And then Anthony, I think Neil Jones today or yesterday then came out and said absolutely no chance. Liverpool have completely dismissed it outright. So, as I said, it never looked like it was in real risk of actually happening, but a relatively reliable person has now come out and said it's not happening. Do you feel that's a mistake? Is it sounds like he'd be a decent squad option, but a squad option is what we need at this point, losing out by a point to City, losing out to Real Madrid in the Champions League. Do we need to be padding out the squad, or do we need to be continually looking for someone who could actually bring something new and add something to the team?
I think your last point hit the nail on the head. He's not going to add anything to what we've already got, so no point signing him. 25 million, obviously he's not like the biggest transfer sum in the world, but it can still contribute towards a Bellingham fee, let's say. But yeah, there's no difference between that guy and Ox, realistically, except one's left-footed, one's right-footed, so not going to add anything to the squad, so no bother signing him.
James, same question to you. Obviously squad depth is important, and that's why I always argued we should have tried to keep Minamino, but do you then go out and spend 25 million to bring in someone who plays in similar positions, not necessarily in the same way?
Feels very much like Sowell last year, doesn't it? We were linked to Sowell and we were going to bring him from Atletico Madrid because we needed a central midfielder, but his wages were high and everything was high, and he believed himself to be this big player, and then he ended up signing for Chelsea. I think he made like 6 appearances.
Yeah.
There is a very real chance if Asensio comes to the Premier League, he's not going to be able to get on board with it very quickly. As good a player as he is, and he is a great player, like Sal was a great player, it's a tough transition for these ball-playing Spanish players. It took Thiago a year. So really, what does he add? If he's a transition player and he's backup, he's going to take even longer to get into the groove, isn't he? So to me, I just don't see it. Having said that, he's a great option, isn't he, for Thiago backup, left wing, right wing backup, Minamino backup. He could, if he's going to be Mr. FA Cup and Mr. League Cup, now we've lost Minamino, fair enough, but I just don't see it.
Just quickly, Hyler's just commented, he's got inside sources regarding a possible loan move. But no, the LFC transfer room did put out, they've got a story from somewhere about this as well. Possible loan moves for a array of backup and academy players, some short term as well, which I presume means up until January. Don't know what team is interested. I mean, it feels like players like Tyler Morton, if they're going to get any minutes in the first team, it's in that first portion of the season, and we've got Carabao Cup games. We could secure Champions League knockout stages earlier, so you get a couple of games there. FA Cup in January, relegation fodder at some point as well. I mean, Drew, with Tyler Morton, is that someone you think would benefit from a loan at this point, or maybe would do better off following the likes of Neco Williams, who stayed, tried to get some football, but then from January onwards, when your minutes are definitely going to go down, look to find a move there for the second half of the season?
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. If I was a player on the cusp of the team, there'd be no reason to leave for this half of the season. There's so many games crammed together because of the World Cup upcoming in winter. Like, they're trying to get half a season done in like just a couple of months, where we're playing like a game every couple of days. And as we said before, with the 5 sub rules, that there's more than enough chances to get some minutes on the pitch. We don't know if anyone will get injured. I'm convinced he's the only like for like backup as a number 6, for the Fabinho role. So I would not want him to leave the club at this stage of the season. I think he's got a real good chance of getting some minutes in, especially if we're cruising against teams and we have the ability to make those 5 subs. Why not put him in and see if he can shore it up and give him some experience? So I think this is a real opportunity for him to show everyone on a more consistent basis what he can add to the team. And if it doesn't work out, or if he gets those minutes and then it really looks like he could benefit from getting half a season of playing in, game out, then he could go on loan after the World Cup in January. So I think players like him should stick around, because we'll probably need all the depth we can get with first half of the season.
Gary, to answer your question, if you're talking about Asensio, according to Neil Jones, who's relatively on it news-wise, has said no chance. Pretty much we were never going for him from what I gather. So there's your answer to that one. Philip says we should only sign someone who could possibly break into the first 11, which I think most of us agree with. And Ant also says surprised West Ham or Newcastle haven't come in for Chamberlain. Well, I'm sure there'll be plenty more discussions about Oxlade-Chamberlain as the summer unfolds. But I think for this stream, we'll keep it short and sweet. It's been a little bit of a slow news day, slow news week, really. But as I said, we're nearly at the start of the pre-season fixtures. They'll all start to pick up a little bit there. Thank you very much to everybody for watching. Thank you, James, Drew, and Anthony, for joining me tonight. I hope you all have a lovely Thursday evening. We'll be back again tomorrow and every day henceforth from 7:30. So do stick around for that by liking, subscribing, and pressing the bell notification for notifications when we go live. Thank you very much, and see you in the next stream.